Today's letter is being brought to you by the Greek letter Delta. A few months ago, Cooper, the shop dog, brought up a new idea for me to get rigid collars installed on my Civic. What a great idea. What are rigid collars? Is it some sort of alien technology for my car? They're actually some aluminum bushings to help mate the subframe of your car from the actual frame. Subframe rigid collars are small, soft aluminum bushings that fit around the bolts connecting a car's subframe to the main chassis. Think of them as crush washers that align the subframe to the chassis to a much tighter specification. You slide them onto the subframe mounting bolts, then torque the subframe back to spec. The soft metal deforms slightly and fills in any tiny gaps or play within the bolt and more perfectly aligns the subframe and chassis. This creates a super tight, rigid connection. Okay, here's the deal with subframe rigid collars. As they're manufacturing our cars, all of our Hondas and a lot of the other brands out there too, they want to make it easy to do the assembly. So the holes that they have set that line everything up for the bolts to hold it together, those holes are about 3 millimeters larger than they need to be. That makes it way easier for the crew that's putting it together to line the subframe up and then get the bolts. They just start right in. Everything's easy. If they made them as precise as your car can be after you've put subframe rigid collars in, they're going to be spending a lot more time trying to align everything up and get everything in there, turning it and twisting it and getting it just right. So it's really a money-saving thing for them. Now, some of the benefits you're going to find in subframe rigid collars, without them, every time you're driving around, there's that 3 millimeters of play. Even if everything's tightened down, when you're driving, you're still hitting bumps and potholes and stuff like that. And little micro changes are adjusting all the time. It causes your chassis and subframe to feel a little less stiff. It causes little micro changes in your alignment on a regular basis. It can wear out your tires and some of your suspension parts a little bit faster. So you throw your subframe rigid collars in, your geometry becomes more perfect. You can get your alignment dialed right in. It's so much easier for that shop to just do that little extra twist. You can get the alignment as close to perfect as possible, which makes your tires last longer or perform better or both. And as you're driving around, your overall chassis is going to start to feel a little more rigid, a little more solid, like it's supposed to be, because it's held in there so tight with these rigid collars that have been crushed in place to fill any little voids that might be there. And another benefit is your steering. When everything's locked in just right, your alignment's just dialed in, your steering just feels more precise, more responsive. You can feel everything. Another thing I've noticed is there's less vibrations, noise, and harshness. The car's just a little smoother, a little quieter. For a couple $100 and another alignment, I think you could maybe save some of the life of your tires. And with tires costing, between $800 and $1,200 for a set of tires, it'll pay itself back throwing some subframe rigid collars on early on. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Now let's take some corners. If you're considering doing some rigid collars on your car and you're on the fence whether it's yes or no, can you do me a favor and just put a comment down below and tell me what you think? What's pushing you one way or the other to get them or to not get them? What's holding you back? And if you've got subframe rigid collars on your car, I'd like to know if you're experiencing the same effects and the same symptoms and the same joys in your car that I am with them in. And I'm really interested in your comments and your thoughts. Drop me a note below, and I'll see you next time. What do we do for the shop dog that makes great recommendations like subframe collars? Shop dog treats. Heck, that suggestion's worth a 3. Bonus. What a good shop dog.